everybody, welcome to Wild Boy Movies, the place to talk movies. And today, we're going to be reviewing Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Most Fowl, the latest entry in the Wallace and Gromit franchise. Right now, I'm going to have some information up on screen for you to read, like director, runtime, and PAA rating. All of that will be up on screen for you to read right now. But be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and comment down below your thoughts on Vengeance Most Fowl. But without further ado, let's get right into the pros. Alright, starting off, I gotta put this out there. I have never seen anything involving Wallace and Gromit before this movie. It's just something that I didn't really have an interest to watch. But the trailers for this movie got me curious enough to check it out, and yeah, thank goodness I did check this movie out because it is a banger movie to start off the year 2025. I know some of you guys, it may be a 2024 release because this did release Christmas Day in 2024 over in the UK, but for me, it released January 3rd in the US. And I highly recommend that you guys go ahead and watch this movie wherever it's available for you guys. Like, for starters, I really dig the claymation animation that Aardman goes ahead and uses because, yeah, Aardman is a claymation studio and they're most famously known for not just Wallace and Gromit, but also Shaun the Sheep, Chicken Run, and a bunch of other classic films and stop-motion shows. And I feel like that, as an Aardman film, this is a really great addition to the lineup. Now, I'm saying that because I haven't really seen that much Aardman films. I've really only seen the two Shaun the Sheep movies. But I do think that this is another great Aardman film. But going back to the animation, I just love how Aardman goes ahead and does the claymation animation stop motion. And I feel like that just makes this film a lot cooler to watch, knowing that it took such a long time to animate because this is like a stop motion thing. So, for example, they take a picture, move the next thing forward, take another picture, move another thing forward, and take a picture. I just have a bunch of respect for the people over at Aardman because that takes a whole bunch of time to do and it paid off for them in the long run. I also really dug the voice acting in this movie, particularly towards the guy who voices Wallace in this movie. Now, like I said earlier, I have not seen Wallace and Gromit, so I can't really tell if this new actor matches the perfection of the old Wallace, because doing some research I found out that the old actor who voiced Wallace passed away and they had to recast Wallace for this movie. But for me, as someone who's never seen Wallace and Gromit, I felt like that, yeah, he did a great job of this inventor. And some of the other supporting cast members in this movie as well did a great job. I also really gotta go ahead and talk about Norbot in this movie, who is essentially the new invention of Wallace. And I really like the character of Norbot in this movie, and to an extent, the entire Norbot army that is made in this movie. Now, this is essentially a robotic gnome who mows your lawn, cleans your house, and basically does everything for you because that person might just be lazy. But I really like the personality that Norbot had in this movie, and I also really dug Norbot's voice actor. And I also thought his design of this robotic gnome was also pretty cool, and the way it turns from like this good little robot trying to help people out into becoming this evil robot trying to pull off a big heist. I really dug that for the character of Norbot, and yeah, it was a pretty cool thing that they made for this movie. Going on to an extent of Norbot, I also really love how this film has a social commentary of robots taking over our jobs. Now, AI is kind of like a sensitive topic right now, but the material involving AI is becoming very more relevant by the day. I mean, iRobot from 2004 has aged so well in terms of the robots and the futuristic of the world of iRobot. And I feel like that message of AI taking over our jobs was handled so well in this movie, especially to Gromit the dog, because I felt bad for Gromit because he loves his gardening, as from what I could tell from this movie, and know about taking Gromit's job and what he loves to do must really suck for Gromit. And yeah, I feel like that Gromit did have a bit of a good reason to hate Norbot, but I just loved that social commentary of AI taking our jobs because unfortunately that seems like a future that might end up becoming a reality. I mean, we had a whole Hollywood strike a couple years ago because of AI, but I loved how this Wallace and Gromit movie tackled all of that in like an hour 22-minute runtime. And speaking of that hour 22-minute runtime, I really did dig the runtime of this movie. It's short, but yet gets to the point and it's thoroughly entertaining all throughout that runtime. And I also thought the pacing of this movie was also done very well. There were no parts of the movie that I felt like you kind of could have cut this out and this movie could have been a lot better. No, there were a lot of moments in this movie that I felt like were necessary in the film, and yeah, I felt like that this runtime was done so well, and the pacing was also really well done. But lastly, my biggest pro that I can give this movie is Feathers McGraw, the main villain of this movie, because guys, let me tell you, Constantine from Muppets Most Wanted has some competition on the world's #1 criminal, because what Wallace McGraw does in this movie honestly makes him the greatest criminal of all of cinema. Like, his goal is to steal the blue diamond, which is like this blue diamond, obviously. But the things he does in order to get that blue diamond is just pure genius. Like, he's locked up in a zoo and decides to hack the Norbots. So what does he do? Because he can't just leave his cell to hack into the police computer to hack Norbot. He uses this device that is made of like different trash bits and makeshifts this giant retractable hand. And the things that Ferris McGraw does is just pure genius. The things that he did makes this guy the biggest criminal genius of all of cinematic history. Like I said earlier, Constantine, you have some big competition. But really, I did enjoy this movie and enjoyed it enough to I might consider going and watch The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. Now, for the cons, I don't really have that much cons for the movie. Like, this is just a near perfect movie that I don't have that many nitpicks for, and I think it's just as good as Shaun the Sheep 2 Farmageddon. So for my scorecard, I'm gonna give Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Most Foul 4.5 stars, with the score out of 10 being 9.8 out of 10, with the percentage being 98%, with a grade of A+, with my final verdict being another fantastic Aardman film. But that was my review for Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Most Foul. I want to hear from you guys. What are you guys' thoughts on this movie? Go ahead and leave that down in the comment section. And while you're at it, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. And have a great day.